Hey guys, before we get started, I just want to let you know so you're not worried that the guns you see in this video, they're all legally registered guns. You have nothing to worry about. Hey guys, so I want to talk to you about quality assurance testing, what it is, what the job role is, and what the future holds for it. And right now, it's an interesting thing because I feel like this field is becoming more and more appreciated as time goes on. Part of it is because more companies are hiring more QA engineers because they're all software companies, and they're starting to realize that when their site goes down, when their app goes down because they wanted to save money by not spending it on quality assurance testers, that they are losing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in some of these cases. And there's a newfound respect for a QA engineer. And you can see here that the national average for just one quick thing I pulled up here out of 3,500 salaries, it's about $78,000. It's not too bad. Now, one thing to keep in mind as a quality assurance engineer is, from my experience, a lot of places, a lot of software companies will actually take on recent grads and put them into a QA role and kind of meld them into a developer later on. It's a pretty common practice where you may start off in QA and then you'll move to front end, or you move to back end, or you'll move to full stack, whatever it is. Or you may stay in QA if that's what you like. There's nothing wrong with that. So what does that entail? Well, QA entails quite a few things, and it's essentially you make sure shit works. And shit works under certain circumstances, right? So what I do at my work is I do some basic testing, what are called unit tests. Now what that entails is you essentially write functions that test your functions in your application. And so say I have a function called add, I need to make sure that it adds everything together and I get the expected result. So that's an example of a unit test. And then there's end-to-end testing, which essentially you will write commands that will iterate through your code, and as if a user is clicking on the screen and making sure that when you enter here and when you enter there, all that works and everybody's happy. So that's two examples. Another big thing, if we have any gamers, is stress testing. And what that basically means is, hey, we are going to your application works when 5 people are using it or 10 people are using it. What happens when we simulate an environment in which 100,000 people are using it? How does it work out for you then, right? Because let's talk about real world. And as we have found out through the PlayStation Network and the Xbox Live, that sometimes they don't do the best stress tests, because when that happens, things go haywire, right? Just servers are going down and people are getting upset, all this sort of stuff. But it is an interesting thing, and as I've had just a taste of kind of diving into it, and I've seen at my old work, they had about 30 developers in total, and about 5 of them were purely for quality assurance. A lot of their job, other than just writing tests and making sure that the code that the front end and the back end developers wrote worked and performed the way that it should be, was, hey, we're about to push this out, right? And the quality assurance team, it's their job to make sure that nothing was missed. So they have the test, but now let's actually click through it. Let's see if we can break it, and then you kick that shit out back. Let me see if I can find this great meme to kind of quote this quality assurance Gumby. So there's this great GIF that I always have liked that is really cool. Yeah, here we go. So this will pretty much show you what happens. You got the designer, production, system, and then QA's like, nope, get your code out of here, because it is not passing right now. You need to get back to work, basically, and show them where it's breaking. So that's another aspect of quality assurance. One of the reasons I want to bring this up is because a lot of times people think that, because I talk about full stack development, front end, back end, because that's the field I am in. And I do, as a full stack developer, you will typically, depending on the size of your team, write some testing. Now, that's fine, but you're not going to be doing as much as a QA engineer would do, because you're in full stack, you're sort of pulled all which directions because they want you to do as much as you can in one way, and that's good. But you can make just as much money as a QA engineer as you work your way up. One of the reasons I wanted to bring it up is because I had been getting some criticism about not talking about other things as much, but I typically like to talk about the things that I have done and the things that I feel comfortable talking about. Another reason I want to bring up is because of the growth of QA, our great sponsor, Dev Mountain, if you guys don't know, I'm sponsored by Dev Mountain, is now launching a 6-week boot camp to become a QA engineer. It's pretty cool in my eyes, because I think this is a field that, there's so many boot camps that focus entirely on front-end development, back-end development, full-stack development, that if you're a recent college grad or you just really like QA and you want to learn more about it, here's one of very few QA boot camps that exist. It's in Salt Lake City and free housing, and you'll be going over a little bit of GitHub, JavaScript. So this is all stuff that because to be a quality assurance engineer, you have to actually know how to code, right? Because you're going to be working. The unit test framework that I use is called Karma and Jasmine at work. That's built in. That's a JavaScript testing framework specifically for AngularJS. So you have to be comfortable doing that. Writing manual tests, that manually testing code. So you have to be able to go through and see, I think this might break if I do this based off how the code's written. Unit tests, those are the examples where you actually write functions that will test the code. Automated tests that are running in the background. And those are like Protractor is one that I use. So this is real stuff that we use this at work. Protractor was the one where I tell you are writing tests that are actually simulating how your code is going to run. And it's like if this was your project, you would see the mouse going and it typing. It's pretty cool actually when I look at it. Then there's the stress testing, load testing, API testing. This is super important as well because a lot of times in your applications, you're building so many endpoints, at least in my project, where you need to ping, you need to pull data in, you need to post, you need to do gets, and there's proper ways of testing that to make sure that the data not only is going into the database and being retrieved, but are you retrieving the correct data? Because if you're not, there's huge issues. And then Agile. So Agile is a part of the methodologies that a lot of software companies work, kind of a project management mindset, and so it's pretty cool. So at the end of it, you'll have some projects, and I encourage you to check that out if that's something you're interested in. I really love this meme though more than anything else. I think this is just how I feel about quality assurance. So you will be picking up some testing skills as a full stack developer, but if you want to go in that direction in which you love crushing the developer's souls at the end of the day when they need to get something out, and then QA is like, nope, and then the big boss sometimes will say, look, we just got to ship it out. I understand QA saying it ain't ready. And I've seen that happen a couple times, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But quality assurance is an interesting role. It's one of the things that I think you might have a better chance. I don't have any stats to back this up on. This is just my gut feeling. Because there are less boot camps that are going in this direction, right, in the QA role, or maybe you already are a full stack developer and you just want to learn something new, you want to get something on there, I think you should check out quality assurance as well as add it to your applications. One of the things I've been saying about if you're a developer or you're trying to become a developer, one thing that you can do is just some basic testing through unit testing using like Karma or Jasmine or Mocha and Chai, and add it to your application so that when you go and you interview for these positions, you can let them know that you have the basic entry level skill of that skill set. That will go a long way and make you stand out. Very few developers that I've ever seen interviewed have any testing in their portfolio. It's just, I built this, and this. Okay, well, how can you differentiate yourself? So that's another great skill that you can add to the resume. So I encourage you to check out, look into quality assurance testing, software QA, all that sort of stuff. It's it's a great starter entry point for a lot of people who are, how can I break into this? How can I move forward? How can I do this for an application, because there isn't this sort of sexiness to it. And I say that because a lot of people put emphasis on building stuff, and you are building stuff, but a lot of times you're testing stuff that is already built, and you're making sure that it works properly, which is really important. And unfortunately, sometimes in the smaller companies, it's just, let's build something, and if it breaks, we'll fix it immediately. But in larger companies where a lot of QA roles are, you have this much more mature outlook on software. So check it out, guys. That's my 2 cents on quality, becoming a software QA engineer. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to join the Facebook group, support me on Patreon, all that stuff. All the links are in the description below. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Special thanks to our sponsors, Dev Mountain. If you're looking for a coding bootcamp where tuition and housing is included, definitely check them out. Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.